What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video here, Chris's MMA Universe. Before I get into this video here, just want to make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Make sure you tap that bell to stay up to date with every video I post in the future. This video here, I wanted to talk about Jon Jones a little bit. And with Jon Jones, I know a lot of people are thinking that Jon Jones is actually declining. And, you know, they're thinking that Jon Jones really isn't the same fighter that he once was. And I think there's a little bit more to that. You know, I don't think that it's just that Jon Jones is declining. I really don't think that he is declining. Now, regardless of how we feel, regardless of what everybody thinks, regardless of everybody's opinion, we all know, regardless of how it happened, Jon Jones has steroids in his system in the past. We all know that. We know what happened with that. Happened more than once. And there was like, you know, some little weird thing going on with picograms and stuff like that when he fought Gustafsson the second time. But regardless of how we feel about that, regardless, it did happen. It wasn't his system. We all know that. But I'm not really going to go ahead and say that, you know, that made him better. Like, I'm not going to say that he even took it on purpose, because I'm not saying that whatsoever. So this isn't really too much on that. But what I'm saying is, with Jon Jones, you know, where everybody thinks he's declining and Jon Jones not being the same fighter, you know, is he going to lose soon, this and that? I do believe that it has a lot to do with the competition. I do believe that the first fighter that Jon Jones has fought from the newest generation, from the new generation, was Dominick Reyes. I do believe that Dominick Reyes is part of the new breed. I do believe that he is the new generation as of current, as of what's going on right now. And I do believe he's the first fighter from the new generation that Jon Jones has fought. Now, I do believe it has to do with the competition. I do not believe that it has to do with Jon Jones just himself not being the same guy. Now, I know a lot of people out there would say, oh, he's not as good now because he's not taking steroids and this and that. Like I said, I'm not jumping on Jon Jones for that, because I don't really agree too much with those, you know, allegations and, you know, the things that people would say. You know, it's going to follow him for the rest of his life. But, you know, I do believe it has to do with the competition, where when Jon Jones first came out, Jon Jones was just dominating the game. He was dominating fighters. He was just a spectacular force, a special talent to watch, you know, where he was finishing fighters that has never been finished. You know, he was just destroying people. He was destroying them. Jon Jones went in there with minimal effort and got the job done, and got it done spectacularly. I mean, Jon Jones was just something that, like, nobody was able to touch. Nobody was able to beat him. And in the past, as of now, you know, in the past, I was like, no one's beating Jon Jones. I will say myself, like, Jon Jones is not going to be beaten anytime soon, if at all. But now, you know, a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of questions, right? Like, he's going into a fight, like, you know, can this guy pull it off? Can he really do it? As opposed to the past, where no, not at all, not whatsoever. But it's because of the competition that's rolling in. It's because of, you know, what, Thiago Santos, you know, the Anthony Smiths, you know, Dominick Reyes and stuff, where I know, you know, some of those fighters been out for a little while, but Dominick Reyes is kind of new to the scene, and he gave Jon Jones a war. He gave Jon Jones a crazy fight. That was a treat for the fans. That was such a treat for the fans, where he really brought it to Jon Jones. He brought it to Jon Jones way more than just about everybody thought. Nobody thought Dominick Reyes was going to go in there and actually give Jon Jones a challenge. Everybody thought, you know, Dominick Reyes is just going to get, you know, taken out. But even Jon Jones himself was very surprised. He was very surprised that Dominick Reyes was able to bring it to him the way that he did. You know, he just did not think Dominick Reyes was going to be able to do that. So Jon Jones, I'm not going to say he underestimated him, but he definitely, you know, he predicted that one wrong, where he thought he was just going to do whatever he wanted at will, and that wasn't the case. That was not the case at all. A lot of people actually think Dominick Reyes won that fight. A lot of people thinking that should be the next fight that gets set up, where that should be a rematch. And I'm one of those people that agree with that. I do believe that they should have a rematch. Why not? Why not iron out, what couldn't get ironed out the first time. Why not, John Jones get thrown back in there with Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes gets thrown back in there with John Jones, and let's see what happens the second time, so we could silence the doubters, right? I mean, I'm on board with that fight. I'm on board with a rematch there. But, I guess we'll see what really happens. We're going to see what Dominic Reyes does when he comes back. I know he was saying that he was going to go on vacation, sit on a beach somewhere, and so on. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But with John Jones, as far as like I was saying with the competition, when he first came out, he was slaying everyone, right? Everyone in his path, he was just knocking them down. Because John Jones was the new breed then. John Jones was the new breed coming in, fighting all these fighters that already been out for so long. Now, hang on now, though, because I'm not taking away from any of the fighters he fought. The fighters he fought, he went on Murder's Row, and he took out everyone. He was on Murder's Row, took him out. John Jones was just doing it in a spectacular way. So please do not take what I'm saying wrong, because, of course, those fighters were just assassins and murderers who he was fighting. And, of course, I recognize that with everything. I recognize that, of course. But what I'm saying is John Jones was just on another level, though. And I'm not wrong for saying that, because you go back, watch tape, it proves, it's been proven where he was on another level. He was taking out everybody so easily, knocking them down, getting his hand raised. The champion at such a young age, where he was very young, only was growing as a fighter, only was growing as a person, just being able to, he's ended up moving into like his grown man strength and stuff like that, because 23, you're still a kid. You're still a kid at 23. And he came in there and destroyed Shogun to capture the title, defended it against Rampage, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida, you name him, he knocked them down. And he was finishing them. He was the very first person to finish Rampage in the Octagon. Nobody has finished Rampage in the Octagon, where John Jones was the first one to do so. So, and that's what he wanted to do, where he ended up rear naked choking him in round 4, I believe it was. So, but John Jones was the new breed coming in. John Jones was fighting all these people where he ended up fighting Vitor, where like Vitor has been out since he was 19 years old, before there was any real skills, where John Jones said himself, where Vitor had like 2 ways of fighting, with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being his second way, going up against a lot of fighters that only had one style. So he was being so dominant. John Jones said that. And where John Jones is now coming in, going against these fighters, to where like now John Jones is the Vitor Belfort. Now John Jones is the Lyoto Machida against all these, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes. Yes, he did win all those fights. I do agree. I do agree that he beat all these new people, where the middleweights moving up to light heavyweight, and Dominic Reyes being just a monster, a phenom coming into this, and ended up, not being able to pull it out, where John Jones was able to get the nod, where I don't believe that fight was unanimous whatsoever towards John Jones. But I guess they believe that John Jones, coming back the way he was coming in round 4 and 5, where the championship rounds is like kind of like what the judges were looking at, who's going to be smoother, who's going to be fresher. But so I do agree, yes, John Jones did win the fight. I wished they would do a rematch, but with John Jones declining, I'm not going to say he's declining. I'm not going to say that at all. I do believe John Jones is in his prime. I do believe this is prime time for John Jones. But I don't really see that he's declining. There's just the competition is getting sharper. The competition has reached his level and even a little above, where there's just this fresh meat coming in that is kind of matching him at his skills, where before he was on another level. He was just in another playing field. It was like John Jones' playing field coming into the sport when he was coming in, dominating everybody in his earlier years of his career, where he won his UFC debut when I believe he was 20 years old, and he only had 8 months of training in mixed martial arts. That is just special. That is a special talent. John Jones is like a one-of-a-kind fighter that we will never see again. Like now, of course, don't get me wrong, where, Izzy's out there and Izzy's doing his thing. Izzy looks spectacular. I mean, the last fight, it's kind of a toss-up. I know a lot of people thought that was boring, but still, Izzy is doing his thing, and, he ended up being able to capture the title at such a young age, where, I'm sorry, not such a young age, but where I'm not saying he's old, but he caught it at such an early time of him being in MMA, where he hadn't even been in the UFC for 2 years and ended up capturing the MMA title. Yes, I know he was like a very, like, very decorated kickboxer, where he had, like, I'm not sure, like, what his record was. I think he only lost, like 4 times in kickboxing. But that's not the point. The point is there are other fighters out there who are great. But Jon Jones, I still believe, is just one of a kind that we'll never see again. And I do not think he's declined. I just think it's just the competition that's starting to reach his level, starting to reach where Jon Jones is, starting to pretty much be on the same, like, eye level with Jon Jones, where they're able to give him fights that he hasn't experienced. Where he even said himself, when he was fighting everybody first coming into the sport, he felt invincible. He just felt like nobody was touching him. He's beating all these world-class fighters at the time, and he was just destroying them. Just felt like, nobody could touch him. Nobody could beat him, and then he almost lost the fight against Gustafsson. I do believe Dominic Reyes gave Jon Jones a better fight than Gustafsson did with their first fight. Yes, I do believe that was, like, maybe one of the greatest title fights. Definitely. It definitely was one of the greatest title fights, but I think Dominic Reyes kind of showed a little bit more than Gustafsson did in the fight against Jon Jones. It seemed like Jon Jones was, yes, he was getting boxed up by, Alexander Gustafsson, where his face was all bubbled up at the end of the fight, where it was like the dog fight that Jon Jones said he's been looking for. But Jon Jones did not train hard going into that fight. He said it himself. Yeah, he did train, but he didn't train hard enough, where he said that he will actually get hammered the weekend before the fight. So that way, if he loses, he'll have an excuse and say that's the reason why he lost. So the reason why I say that Dominic Reyes brought it to him more than Gustafsson did in their first fight is because Dominic Reyes was fighting sharpened Jon Jones, where Jon Jones did train very hard for Dominic Reyes. He did not take Dominic Reyes lightly, but he did kind of underestimate him just a little bit, I'm going to say. Just a little bit. I know I said before I'm not going to say he underestimated him, but I think I'll say he a little bit, because he went in there and did not expect Dominic Reyes to be that good, that great, and be able to do what he did and bring it to him like the way he did. So I do not believe Jon Jones declining. I just believe the competition is getting fresher, getting sharper. There's some fresh meat coming in, and I do believe that is the reason why it may look like Jon Jones is declining, but it's just because they are able to match him now. And I know Jon Jones was saying that he would want to be the champion for the whole next decade of 2020 to 2030. I do not see that happening. I do not see Jon Jones being able to be the champion for that much longer. I'm not going to say for that much longer, up until 2030, but there's really no telling on who will be able to take this title from Jon Jones. I would love to see the next fight be Jon Jones versus Dominic Reyes. I do believe that they should make that rematch. I really hope they do make that fight being next. If the fans want it, they will make it happen. So I hope you guys feel the same way I do on that fight being the next fight for Jon Jones, just making the rematch with Dominic Reyes. But I really want to know what you guys think about, Jon Jones declining. Do you think he's declining, or do you think it's just the competition? Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring this to you guys' attention to see what you guys think on it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like. If you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell, and I'll see all you guys in the next one.